As you know, I do a lot of sampling and testing perfumes before buying them because, well, it's fun, and of course because prices of perfumes really skyrocketed, and this way you can test many different perfumes for a reasonable price. So in this video, I'll test and review 5 different perfume samples or travel sprays, and in the end, I will tell you which ones are full bottle worthy for me, but watch the entire video because even if some perfume didn't work out for me, it doesn't mean it won't work out for you. Also in this video, I'll talk about 2 new 2024 perfume releases, so stay tuned. And welcome back. I'm Miri, and on this channel we talk in depth about fragrances. Let's start right ahead with a new 2024 perfume release, and that is Lancome's Vie Est Belle L'Elixir. I have a 10 ml travel spray, while the full bottle looks really gorgeous with a black scarf and darker juice color. Also, the bottle should have iconic Vie Est Belle's smile etched into the glass, so you should feel it underneath your fingertips when you hold the bottle. And to be honest, the marketing about a perfume built around self-love and liberation kind of sounds like a word salad, but the ad is a bit more thought through, with Julia Roberts going to an evening gala in a huge pink skirt, and then she tosses the skirt and goes on a rooftop walk in a black suit. And that explains the black bow on this bottle and also the addition of leather note in this fragrance. The opening is extremely bright, sparkling, fruity, bubbly, just cheerful. And personally, I don't get that liqueur note. What I do get is a lot of raspberry. And raspberry here isn't a natural smelling raspberry. It's very sweet. It's candy-like. It's slightly powdery, probably because of violet stretching from the mid notes to the top as well. But bergamot adds a bit of citrusy zing and this pleasant green accord that balances powderish candy-like raspberry. So initial 5 minutes smell like you're putting candy sweet raspberry chopstick to moisturize your lips, while in the distance someone is peeling and juicing bergamot to make a juice out of it. Therefore, the opening is a very pleasant, lively, sweet, fruity, girly scent. And after 5 minutes, rose and violet come out, giving more velvety, powdery, floral undertone. And also at this point, you start noticing leather underneath fruity, powdery aspects. On the tester strip and on my skin, leather accord never overpowers fruity aspects, but it's always lingering in the background, giving depth and a touch of sophistication to this fruity fragrance. And I have to mention that the scent starts to feel a bit more breezy and ozonic as it dries down, with somewhat like menthol, slightly metallic feel, but only slightly. So in the mid, Vie Est Belle L'Elixir is a powdery, fruity perfume with ozonic and leather facets in the background, while some 2 hours later the scent gets woodier with a smooth cacao accord. So the dry down smells like you put cacao butter on your skin and applied some mild powdery rose fragrance before heading outside, and while you're out you open your leather handbag to take out raspberry balm and put it on your lips. This is how L'Elixir smells. It's mostly fruity, powdery floral scent with cacao-ish woody leather undertone. But just keep in mind that leathery woody facets get more prominent in the dry down, so don't be fooled by girlish fruity sweet opening. The scent will get darker, and that's why I think Vie Est Belle L'Elixir is perfect for fall, winter and spring, not so much for summer, because that darker, woodier, leathery base might be a bit cloying in the heat. And to tell you right ahead, these perfumes aren't dupes, but red berry vibe in Elixir reminds me very much of Signorina Misteriosa in Perfume by Salvatore Ferragamo. So if you like that fragrance and leathery, woody, cacao-ish facets, check out this perfume. I'm sure you will like it. In comparison to other Vie Est Belles, Elixir could be a separate fragrance. It has no patchouli, it has no iris, it doesn't have a syrupy sweetness the original Vie Est Belle has. And even though it has raspberry just like the Intensament version, they aren't similar because this is juicier with darker, leathery facets, while Intensament is a cuddly, smooth, fluffy raspberry vanilla scent. And that's why I think L'Elixir might be a bit disappointing for La Vie Est Belle lovers because you don't get that original DNA here. But if you disliked La Vie Est Belle's, check out L'Elixir because this one has almost like zero connection to the rest of the line. I get about 6 to 7 hours of longevity, so yes, the original is much stronger in projection in longevity, but this is a nice, lovely, sultry, fruity, leathery fragrance. I would rate with 7.25 out of 10. Next up is Kayali Déjà White Flowers 57. 57 referring to the number of alternations needed to perfect this fragrance. And I really like how Mona Kadan, a founder of the Kayali brand, described the reason behind the name of this fragrance and overall power fragrances have. She said that smelling a fragrance is like making a bookmark in life, and whenever you smell it again, you'll be instantly reminded of it and transported to a time and place you smelled it for the first time, and that's why this perfume has déjà vu in its name. As you can see from my sample, like the color is a lot darker than the juice color on the picture. I've had this sample for quite a while, a year, maybe even a bit more. So all vanilla heavy perfumes darken over time, they become sweeter and richer, this one included. So if your bottle like changed juice color, that's perfectly normal. But how Déjà Vu White Flowers 57 smells. At the initial spray, you can smell a crisp, juicy fruits, mainly nectarine, some white flowers, and sweetness from vanilla. The opening, it's addictive. It's incredibly beautiful because nectarine gives a juicy, peachy vibe, while flowers and vanilla in the background add such a creamy, almost whipped cream effect. But the scent is still very fruity, very floral, vanillic, and it never crosses truly to gourmand territory. It smells like peach dessert with whipped cream next to a vase with white flowers. And that beautiful, bright, fruity opening is unfortunately really short-lived. It lasts maybe like, I don't know, 2-3 minutes, and then white flowers come out strongly, overtaking initial fruitiness, even though I can still smell slight peachy aroma throughout the length of this fragrance, but now that peach is somewhere in the distance. White flowers calm down after a while with vanilla coming through, and the most prominent floral notes to me are tuberose, and after that jasmine, even though there is like this a tiny hint of greenness coming from gardenia, but it's not that noticeable. Tuberose further enhances that lush, creamy floral texture, while jasmine has a bit of indolic feel. And I know you probably heard many people describing jasmine or white floral perfumes as indolic, and here's what indolic actually means. It's a nice way to say that white flowers in a particular fragrance have an malic, overripe feel bordering on slightly fecal scent, but don't let that frighten you, because in small dosages, indolic scents can be extremely sexy, rich, and alluring, especially to the opposite gender. Here, jasmine has just slightly, but slightly indolic feel, but creamy tuberose is much stronger with subtle vanilla sweetness and powderiness, blending all the notes into the smoothest, creamiest white floral concoction with a hint of peach. And the scent is relatively linear, turning woodier in the base, so white flowers don't feel too opulent or too indolic, rather they are subdued. In the dry down, it smells like you're eating vanilla ice cream decorated with a ripe peach in a flower shop surrounded by tuberose and jasmine flowers. This is a beautiful scent of tuberose and vanilla on a woody background with a hint of juicy peach, but it's so light, it's so fluffy, it's so creamy. So even if you're wary of patchouli being too strong, don't be, because I think patchouli here is nicely smoothened, it's toned down, it's well rounded with floral and sweet notes. And when I first tried, this fragrance was much more floral, but now as it is aged, as the juice darkened, it's much sweeter, and that just confirms my belief that Kayali fragrances get better as they mature. If you're crazy about white flower perfumes, this one might not blow you away because flowers here are very creamy, they're tamed. So I think this perfume will be a good introduction to those who are just starting into floral perfumes, because here flowers are very smooth, they're very creamy, they're modern with peach and vanilla, making them more approachable and mass appealing. Even though this scent isn't innovative and there are many other white flower perfumes on the market, this one is incredibly pretty. It has a bit of nostalgic feel, justifying its name. The only issue is the performance. It lasts like 5 to 6 hours with soft to moderate projection, but nonetheless, this is super pretty, like super pretty, creamy white floral perfume, wearable almost all year round. So it's incredibly versatile both for daytime and nighttime. And I would rate it for its performance and scent profile with 7.75 out of 10. The next fragrance is Profumum Roma Gioiosa, and I have to admit that initially I wasn't very interested in trying out this fragrance or the brand because it's very pricey, but now I completely changed my mind. Yes, they have a huge collection. I think they list like 44 perfumes in the Fragrantica's database, but what I like about this brand is that they don't release new perfume every year. No, they take their time to really make exceptional perfumes, and also they don't discontinue perfumes, and that is so refreshing compared to overload of flankers most brands offer every year without trying to offer something new. And after you've fallen in love with a certain flanker, they just discontinue it, like it never was there. And Profumum Roma doesn't do that, and I can't applaud them enough for such a good practice. Gioiosa in Italian means joyful, cheerful, happy, and this is the exact vibe this perfume will give you. The opening is airy and citrusy, but surprisingly, it's only slightly refreshing because from the start, you get a lot of vanilla sweetness. Oh yeah, it's quite strong. And you get like a tinge of creamy jasmine. Thus, vanilla is what you get right up front, but it's grounded with lemony, vibrant zestiness and a hint of green facet. And that combo is really intoxicating. It smells like the most tantalizing scent of vanilla cake decorated with lemons. The transitions in this fragrance are so seamless that Gioiosa almost feels like a linear fragrance, but it's not. It's hard to tell at which point citruses completely fade away and when coconut comes out in the picture, because the blend is incredibly smooth. In the heart, you got a ton of rich, sweet, lavish vanilla, bordering on being edible, but you also got a lot of coconut that, contrary to most coconut perfumes on the market, doesn't smell like sunscreen at all. Coconut smells raw, fleshy, but also lactonic, enveloping vanilla and hint of citruses in the creamiest, coziest, and most comfortable sweet, milky hug. So imagine vanilla macarons dipped in the coconut milk. This is how Gioiosa smells. It's built around delicious vanilla, delicately enveloped with milky coconut, a touch of powdery florals, and a hint of green, slightly earthy moss in the background. That in the base becomes a bit more prominent with faint green and almost smoky nuances, but it never overpowers vanilla. Rather, it's a good contrast to sweet notes, making this scent more balanced. And mostly vanilla and amber dominate this fragrance in the base, creating like a caramelized melange with a bit more pronounced powdery aspects and an aromatic moss backdrop. So the base of Gioiosa smells like you crushed candy cane into a powder and then added it to coconut milk with a spoon of caramel, and now you're sipping that powdery, caramelly, coconutty, milky vanilla blend, but you're not overwhelmed by it because with that sweetness you also get some green aromas like you're walking in the park with nature providing that freshness to the scent. This is an expensive vanilla scent without any synthetic feel, and it's perfectly blended. This perfume has so many different facets. It's so incredibly well blended, and it goes from citrusy vanilla in the opening to milky coconutty vanilla in the heart, and then it finishes with a bit more powdery, lactonic, caramelized, mossy vanilla in the base. Even though this scent profile isn't anything groundbreaking, it's not new, Profumum Roma created the most refined, elegant and balanced lactonic gourmand vanilla that truly smells like a high quality perfume, and it has a lot of oily texture when you spray it on your skin. It's in a similar vein to Bianco Latte by Giardini di Toscana, Disumano by Morphe, Cotton Vanilla by Rue Madame, Escapade Gourmand by Maison Mataha, and Blanche Bath by Le Liquide Imaginaire. So if you like either one of these fragrances, you will like Gioiosa as well. And somehow, even though this is a very sweet fragrance, like it's very sweet gourmand, bordering on being edible, Gioiosa is wearable all year round, even in summer, because of moss and citruses giving some hint of greenness and airiness to the scent. It performs between 8 to 10 hours on my skin with moderate projection, while on clothes it lasts for weeks. So yes, this will get you compliments, and that's why this perfume, what can I say, it gets 10 out of 10. The next perfume is from Parfums de Mali, Athalia. The name sounds very pretty, but when you look up the inspiration for it, you might be surprised. Usually Parfums de Mali name their fragrances based on horse breed names, but this one is named after an evil biblical queen of Judah. Her mother was Jezebel, a very evil queen as well, but Athalia was even worse because she ordered for her grandchildren to be murdered and slaughtered so they wouldn't pose a threat for her rule. So what to expect from a perfume in a black regal looking bottle inspired by deadly and extremely cruel biblical queen Athalia? Well, here's how it smells. When you first spray it, you get this sharp, incensey orange blossom transporting you to a gothic, mysterious, only vaguely illuminated place. And surprisingly, I really enjoy this perfume. It's an unusual combination of bitter oranges with a subtle, soapy orange blossom, but at the same time, you got this powdery iris in the background with balmy qualities and smokiness, darkening the scent and giving it like velvety, smooth depths. Imagine a queen walking through an iris garden at night to drink smoky tea made out of dried oranges, and there she sits sipping the tea, surrounded by earthy, powdery iris aroma enveloping her senses. This is how Athalia smells in the opening. It's incredibly beautiful to me. Yes, it smells a bit mature with an old school vibe, but it's not as aggressive as I thought and feared it might be. It's rather a dark, smoky, powdery, orangey perfume with a mysterious air around it. In the heart, earthy iris gets even stronger, even more powdery, like some violets are also used here even though they aren't listed, and that powdery iris runs throughout every stage in Athalia and is always accompanied with soft, incensey smokiness, enhancing a regal, dark and gothic feel in this perfume. The scent is a bit sweet, warm and cozy because of powdery florals, but simultaneously it feels very cold, very distant, even somewhat bitter and dusty because of earthy, smoky facets and this animalic muskiness that emerges in the mid. As fragrance dries down to base notes, it gets sweeter, more ambery and muskier with the powdery, smoky, earthy iris backbone. It smells like after, drinking smoky, dried orange peel tea. The queen is now returning from her midnight stroll between iris flowers to her boudoir, dressed in a soft, musky smelling robe, gently flowing on her skin while her hair still smells of powdery, earthy irises. At this point, the scent is very smooth. It's soft, it's quiet, it's powdery and animalic, so it has some sensuality, but Athalia's sensual facets are always kept in check. So this isn't a sexy perfume per se. It's more sophisticated, elegant and regal scent rather than being a typical, sexy clubbing or date night fragrance. Athalia feels dark and nocturnal, but it's best for formal occasions or even in professional settings as an ultimate embodiment of power suit, because Athalia is something that will make you feel very confident. It won't be a perfume everyone will love and enjoy, and it will be a bit challenging because it has somewhat powdery vintage charm, but to me, this was so beautiful and it was so refreshing to smell Athalia as a decadent, classy, feminine perfume in a sea of gourmands and vanilla fragrances overloading the current perfume market. Athalia is a bit similar to Prada Infusion de Iris because in both you get powdery earthy iris, but Athalia is sweeter, muskier and so much better blended in my opinion. I really like how it develops from orangey powdery iris at the top to earthier, smokier concoction in the mid, and then it finishes with a sweeter, muskier, ambery scent. It will work better for colder weather, and age-wise, I think this is a 30+ fragrance because it has somewhat vintagey feel. The only issue is that it doesn't last long. I get about 2 hours of moderate production and then the scent sits very close to the skin for another 3-4 hours. So despite its dark, melancholic, gothic vibe, Athalia has a gentle presence. But if you like powdery, earthy iris and smoky incense in fragrances, this perfume will be your cup of tea. And I would rate it with 7.5 out of 10. The rating would be much higher if the performance was better. I started this video with the new Lancome's 2024 perfume release, so let's finish it with another Lancome's 2024 perfume launch, and that is Lancome's Idole Eau de Toilette. To be completely honest, I didn't feel very motivated to test this fragrance because I felt that I didn't need to splurge my money on another eau de toilette with a poor lasting power, and that was a mistake because this eau de toilette doesn't lack in the performance department. But before talking about the scent, I want to say a few words about the ad that is completely stunning, portraying Zendaya riding a horse and inviting you to join the ride, so it gives connotations that this perfume will turn you into an unstoppable woman admired by others, especially because in the ad, Zendaya's flowy dress is paired with boots, a very unexpected move implying that Idole Eau de Toilette won't be overly girly, elegant fragrance either. How it smells. When you first spray it, you get a blast. But like literally a blast of green citrusy freshness with soft brush strokes of roses in the background. Bergamot gives tart, juicy, sparkling and vibrant feel, making this fragrance seems almost weightless, while green tea adds a soft green vegetality and slight soapiness to the scent, grounding sour citruses and florals in the background. So the opening smells like you're drinking iced lemon green tea in a rose garden. It starts fresh, uplifting, citrusy and green, but never too pungent or too sharp. It immediately gives you good vibes only, and its freshness really suits high temperatures. Fresh green citruses from the opening remain noticeable in the mid as well, interlacing with strong rose accords. That's why rose here isn't artificial, jammy, or similar to Turkish delight. It's very fresh and green, heading into a direction of realistic garden rose scent, but never fully evolving into a lush rose garden type of fragrance, because citruses add some sparkliness, this like dewy, watery feel. So in the heart, Idole Eau de Toilette smells like you just finished drinking green iced tea and you picked rose petals from the garden and you put them in the pot to make a homemade rose water. That's why rose in Idole Eau de Toilette smells more natural, fresher, greener, and more dewy, watery compared to roses in other Idole fragrances, but it gets slightly sweeter and more powdery as the fragrance dries down and gets closer to base notes. In the base, watery green and mildly sweet scent of rose water gets even muskier, especially on my skin, with subdued sandalwood and patchouli. The base is a part where Idole Eau de Toilette resembles the most the original Idole Eau de Parfum, because in both you get a sweet, powdery, musky rose, but the difference is that Eau de Toilette is less sweet, it's woodier, it has a moss-like scent in the base, probably due to combination of patchouli and bergamot, while in Eau de Parfum you get a lot more vanilla and sweetness. That's why the base of Idole Eau de Toilette smells like a combination of rose water with a spoon of sugar and moss growing somewhere in the nature, almost like a scent of rose garden after a summer rain, with sweet dewy roses and green mossy aromas filling the air. This is a very pleasant, fresh, green, semi-sweet rose with prominent green tea and citrusy accords for the first 2 hours of wear that gets muskier, woodier, and moosier as it dries down. I really enjoy it, and the part I enjoyed the most is that, unlike most Eau de Toilettes, this one actually lasts. I get about 6 to 7 hours of longevity with moderate projection, turning softer with time compared to other Idole fragrances that sometimes rely too much on vanilla. This one takes completely different route. Yes, it gets sweeter and a bit more powdery in the dry down, but Lancome with Idole Eau de Toilette stepped out of overly vanillic, overly sweet perfumes route to try a fresher, citrusy green tea direction, and I think this was a good move, especially after a very unoriginal Idole now they launched last year that of course smells nice, but it's practically a copy-paste of Idole Nectar minus caramel and popcorn. Idole Eau de Toilette is a much more interesting fragrance in my opinion, but it won't be mass appealing because green and citrusy notes won't suit everyone. But if you like rose, if you like green and lemony facets, Idole Eau de Toilette will be something you will like. It's perfect for spring and summer with flat and slim design that slides even into the smallest, narrowest handbags. But it's so pleasant, at least it's different compared to other Idole flankers. So it deserves 7.5 out of 10, and this and Idole Nectar are my two favorite Idoles in the entire range. If you enjoyed these reviews so far and found them helpful, then boop the like button, subscribe and hit the notification bell so this video could spread to more people. And here's what I think and a quick recap of 5 fragrances in this video, but just because I won't be adding all these perfumes to my collection, well, obviously, I don't want to be broke and I have a lot of perfumes already in my collection, but that doesn't mean that these fragrances won't suit your taste or be something you would love in your collection. That's why always try fragrances for yourself regardless of the reviews. So the fragrance that is just nice, that is quite okay, but not a must-have for me is Lancome's Vie Est Belle L'Elixir. This is a roseberry, powdery rose scent with a darker, leathery backdrop that differs a lot from the original Vie Est Belle, actually from any Vie Est Belle flanker. So if you don't like that range, try this one, you might like it. Two perfumes that are alike and that got 7.5 out of 10 are Parfums de Mali and Lancome Idole Eau de Toilette, but Parfums de Mali Athalia would have a much higher score if I rated just the scent profile, but it's quite soft, so it's only in the like category. But if I manage to get it for a really cheap price, yes, I might add it to my collection. And this is such a nocturnal, sophisticated, powdery, smoky iris fragrance. And the other one is Lancome's Idole Eau de Toilette. That performs like an eau de parfum, and it's one of my two favorite Idole fragrances, especially because it differs from other Idoles with an addition of green tea. So if you like citrusy green rose on a woody base, you will love this fragrance. And then a perfume that is strong like, but again, because of the performance, it's not something I will immediately add to my collection, but if the price is good, like, I'll reconsider, and that is Kayali Déjà White Flowers 57. This is such a beautiful fragrance, and even though white flowers can be tricky for some people, here they are so smooth, they are so creamy with a juicy peach and slightly woodier base. So yes, this is incredibly fluffy, beautiful fragrance. And that means that the perfume that completely blew me away was Profumum Roma Gioiosa, and no wonder, because I own and love Bianco Latte and they're pretty similar. Both are huge compliment getters as well. So Gioiosa is a milky coconutty vanilla with lemony opening and mossy base that is so addictive. This is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece for all those loving lactonic vanilla fragrances. And this one made me so curious about other Profumum Roma fragrances, especially Dulcis in Fundo. But let me know in the comments which ones would you recommend for me to try out from Profumum Roma range. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Again, this is just what I think about these 5 fragrances, but what do you think? Do you own these perfumes? And if you don't, which one sounds the most interesting to you? Which ones would you like to try? Let me know in the comments. And if you would like to watch a previous episode of this sampling fragrances video and deciding which ones are full bottle worthy, then check out this video next. I will see you there. Bye!